very carefully, I guarantee you it's going to change your life. I'm already guaranteeing that in these next whatever 45 to 50 minutes that we have. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to share a lot of examples. No theory, no nothing, just a lot of examples, lot of concrete tips that you can start using right at 9 o'clock when this session ends. Yeah. Okay. So before we even start, does anybody know what is the full form of GPT? Does anybody know the full form of GPT? No, yes, you can take a guess. Okay, somebody's found it, I'm guessing from Google or from ChatGPT itself. So it's called generative pre-trained transformer, right? Okay. So we're going to talk about that what does it mean, right? These are a bunch of words, but what does it actually mean? All right. So today, the idea is to talk about AI in tech, the revolution that AI is bringing in tech, and how you can become a 10x developer. 10x developer, 10x engineer means in the same amount of time, how can you get 10x output, 10 times the output, right? Using the power of generative AI, ChatGPT is one of the examples of that. Yeah. So I'll talk a little bit about the history of AI because I've worked, for many years, almost 2 decades in the field of AI. A little bit on generative AI, but most of our session is going to be on prompt engineering and prompts that are relevant for you as students, as people who are learning new things or who are applying. So how can you better build your chances when you're going for interviews, when you're sending a resume, portfolio, all of those things. And then we'll end with a couple of very relevant live tasks for you. All right, so GPT, as we discussed, stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And in the next 5 minutes, I hope all of you will know what each of these things mean. Yeah. So before we come to today, I want to show you what happened earlier before ChatGPT. Now it's become a big deal. Everybody's talking about AI, but I'll just show you a little bit, a few minutes of the journey of AI. Yeah. So that's why it says ChatGPT, the prequel. This is the prequel you may not have heard. Everybody's talking about ChatGPT and the sequel in the sense what is coming next. Videos are going to be generated and this and that is going to be generated. But it's important to know what was there behind it to appreciate why it's such a big deal and how to use it. So this is the growth in AI over the last many years. AI started, artificial intelligence term was coined in 1950s during one of the conferences, and famously the game of checkers, which is a very simple game. A computer program was built to play checkers, which was able to beat decently good human players. And it was said that that's it. Now the time of computers has come and it'll change everything. That was in 1950, and nothing pretty much significant happened for the next 50 years. It's also called as the AI winter. The next big breakthrough, if you see here, was in 1997. Some of you may remember this, when IBM's Deep Blue system, this was in fact developed at Carnegie Mellon, where I studied, and IBM and CMU in collaboration built this system over 12 years. These are things that not many people know. But this system beat the world champion, Gary Kasparov, at that time. And again, it was said that finally the time of AI has come. But actually, what people didn't know was that this supercomputer, it was a supercomputer which was optimized for playing chess, right? It was not a general system like our mobile, like our laptop, like our browser, which now is able to do all these intelligent queries. So this also didn't really scale. Nothing much happened. Now, if you see the rest of the milestones, I don't know if you notice one trend. Something happened in 2010, right? Because suddenly after 2010, one after the other, there are some major milestones that got made, right? So what happened in 2010? So it started in 2005, the birth of, you can say, machine learning. That term wasn't coined. And in fact, I was part of that very project. So at CMU, the US Defense Department, DARPA, launched a race where an unmanned vehicle, a vehicle without a person, had to travel across the Nevada desert, about 150 miles, right? So there's no set path and it's a very hard terrain and all that. And 2004, when this race was launched, none of the vehicles was able to complete the race. The farthest was Carnegie Mellon's vehicle, which went 7 miles, 7 miles out of 150, right? Then in 2005, something was changed, and it was the beginnings of machine learning. And we didn't know, our team didn't know that that's what we were doing. Carnegie Mellon entered two robots, two cars basically. One was the old system, and I'll tell you what the old system was. It was basically based on rules. Yeah. If you've seen Matrix, then maybe it'll remind you of that as well. And the other robot, with other vehicle, we tried something new. We said we'll not give it any rules. We just took it around the city for all the 3, 4, 5 months and let it just learn from examples. If it bumped somewhere, we would say that, okay, don't do this. If it went fine at a turn, at an intersection, or when somebody was crossing, we would say, okay, do more of that, right? Just by these, we trained it. And CMU was, touted to win the race, but we just lost by a whisker to Stanford. Second and third were CMU's, both are vehicles, right? But many vehicles completed the 150-mile race. Now, in 2008, there was a project called ImageNet, which was launched, which really changed the entire AI landscape. Yeah, and if you see here, Go, which is a game which is far more complex than chess, and it was believed that making a computer player for Go, a very good computer player which can beat world players, is next to impossible, because the number of possible moves in the game of Go is more than the number of atoms in the universe. Okay, far more complex than chess. And in 2016, Google made the AlphaGo system, which beat the world player. Go requires a lot of strategy. Dota, requires a lot of spatial thinking, right? Moving in space, identifying targets. Poker requires a lot of bluffing, right? Human psychology. Jeopardy is a natural language processing game. So very different kind of fields. Everything was getting disrupted very quickly. Yeah. So the difference was that we moved from rule-based systems to machine learning systems. Rule-based means if you are to teach a child how to play tic-tac-toe, you will say that, okay, place the first one in the center square if it's empty. Then if you see this, then play here, try to occupy edges, try to occupy corners, and so on and so forth, right? That's not how machine learning works. Well, how does machine learning work? You just give it examples. You give it a set of moves, that these set of moves lead you to winning the game. These set of moves lead you to losing the game. And then the system figures out the algorithm. The system figures out the algorithm. Yeah, that's almost the magic behind machine learning. Yeah, this is a project from my undergrad days where we were trying to teach the computer how to read the time from a clock, and so much analysis had to be done. We had to write rules for every single step. Can anybody guess? So here, we sort of separated the dial. We made it black and white to save on processing time. And we said, okay, now the interesting elements are the three hands, hour hand, minute hand, and second hand. These are the longest lines that are there. So we were able to extract the lines. So if you see these are the various lines that the system found. But there are some extra lines. See, there is a line here. There are these logo letters also, which kind of got identified as lines. How do you think we came from this step to this step? Can anybody guess? How did we eliminate the outer lines and the logo lines? What criteria would we have used? This will tell me how many are listening attentively. How did we separate these lines from the hour hand, minute hand? No training. There is no machine learning. This is the rule-based system. So you have to think of rules. What rule separates this? Yes, Ipsita. Now, length of hands, no, because actually this length and this length, the hour hand actually is smaller than the outside one. One person's got it, only one person. Okay, so if you see, the simple mathematical rule is that any lines for which at least one of the vertices is close to the center, only keep those, right? This one, both the vertices are away from the center, for the logo also. So that's the rule we wrote, which eliminated the extra lines, and then we were left with lines of interest. So for everything, we had to write a rule. For a face verification system, you know what the rule we had to write? So first of all, we find out the eyes, and then everything else is in proportion to that. So for the eyes, Our face has a very interesting mathematical feature. Basically, this is a convex curve, and this our nose bridge is a concave curve, right? I don't know if you know mathematically where does a concave and convex surface meet. It's called a saddle point. So we would find a saddle point in the 3D mesh of the face, and that's how we would identify. Which meant that if I took a photograph where the flash was on my nose bridge, then I wouldn't be able to identify it, and it wouldn't verify my face. So there were all these issues. Now, of course, we just give it lots and lots and lots means thousands, millions of faces, and then it figures out, right? That's the magic of machine learning. So you give it examples, you give it a goal, much like how a baby learns. A baby doesn't learn language by grammar. It learns by, if I make this sound, then I get water. If I make this sound, I get milk. If I make this sound, then I get scolded, right? So that's how it learns which sounds to make, which sounds not to make, right? Grammar comes much later. So it learns from examples and a goal. Out of various machine learning algorithms, neural networks is the one which really led to this revolution, right? We'll not get into neural networks, but it's just so important that I want to mention it. And the T in GPT, transformer, is a particular kind of neural network. So it's a transformer neural network which GPT uses, which is very good for large language models, right? There are different neural networks for different applications. For image classification, there is a different one, and so on and so forth, right? What does pre-trained mean? You have to give it a lot of training data in order for this algorithm to learn the world around it, learn what you're trying to do, right? Because there are no rules you're writing, so you have to give it lots of examples. That's why GPT says pre-trained. P is for pre-trained, right? And generative, because it is able to generate text, and if you are talking about images, videos, then it's able to generate that as well, which is a new milestone, you can say, in the world of AI. Yeah. So to summarize, we moved from rule-based systems to 50 years to machine learning in 10 years. A lot of progress made here, and now we're in the era of generative AI. Yeah. So generative AI, what's going to happen next? It's going to become better, faster. ChatGPT gives incorrect answers sometimes hallucinates. All of that is going to go away. Already from GPT-3 to GPT-4, we've seen a big difference. It's going to become multimodal. Right now, it supports text. Now it's going to support images, videos, and so on. Already, we have generative systems like Midjourney and video systems which do that, but it's going to happen more and more. And what's going to come after generative AI? Well, there's a lot of exciting research that is already going on, including what is called as few-shot learning. So few-shot learning means that instead of learning from so much data, which means only people like Microsoft, Google, big companies can make a chat GPT, can it learn from just few images? I pick up my mobile, I click a few pictures, and then it's able to understand my world and answer as well as ChatGPT does, but just for my domain, right? So that is also in the works. And yeah, we don't have time, but I have a very interesting story here to tell. Maybe if I have time later, I'll come to that. All right. So that was about the history of AI. Now talking about generative AI, how it's going to help change jobs. You may have already heard of these things, right? It's able to generate code. It's able to debug code very easily. The code quality is very high. It's able to explain code, comment code. It's able to give you practice code questions and so on. I'm hoping, has anybody tried it for these use cases? Debugging means removing the errors or what are called as bugs in your code. If you write a code, you run it, it's not working, then you have to fix it. That process is called debugging. Okay. So some of you have tried generating code and all that, right? So it's super easy to do that. Yeah. I'll show you now. I'll start showing you more and more examples. So let me show you a code that I tried very recently, just 2 days back. This was on yes. Okay. So we were making a portfolio analyzer, automatic portfolio analyzer, where you give the link of the student's portfolio and it's able to extract all the information and give suggestions and so on, right? So this is what I asked how to extract text from a website using Node.js, right? And it gave me first the installation instructions, but also the whole code. As simple as that, right? And it worked perfectly. There was some, old dependencies. So I asked it, okay, can you give me as per the new ES specifications, which it did instantly, and it started working. And let me show you the end result, what we got. Okay, so this is one of the students' live portfolio site. And okay, let me skip to portfolio analyzer. Yes, here. Okay, so in portfolio analyzer, you put in the link right here, and it generates all this information. Yeah, this is all fetching information from ChatGPT, nothing else. So it says this portfolio is a 70% match with what? What are we matching with? What do you think we are trying to match here? If you have a resume and portfolio, what do you want to match it with? Now, industry requirements, exactly. Not even industry, get more specific. Company requirements, exactly. Even more specific, not even company requirements. Even more specific, job description, exactly. Because company can have many openings, right? Many positions. So you match your portfolio, you match your resume to the job description, to the JD, right? And it says this is a 70% match, and it gives a description. Then it goes on and says this is a general analysis. That these are the, so basically it's reading your portfolio like how an interviewer would, right? Or somebody, whoever is doing your screening, how the recruitment team would, exactly. Yeah. So this is how they are going to read. And it says the portfolio does not provide sufficient evidence of their experience in creating flexible web applications, right? So clearly you need to put more details there. Then it also says somewhere that you need to learn Go language because it was part of the JD. And see here, it points out the grammatical mistakes. Candidate has written cruise instead of cruises. Okay, let's check this. I'll be surprised if this works. Yes. Amazing. So it actually picked out nothing. All we gave it was just this link. That's it, right? And it just went and it was able to find this should be cruises basically instead of cruise, right? So this is what at Prep Leaf and Masai students, their portfolio, everything is put through this tool, which basically uses ChatGPT. There's a little bit of coding, that's all, but information is all given by ChatGPT, and it kind of gives this. It I think also tells the plus points. What are the things that are in your favor, and what are the improvement tab is missing. The screenshot is missing here, but it also tells where you can improve your portfolio, right? So you can add certain things or describe certain projects better. So this is one of the examples how you can use ChatGPT. Then ChatGPT is also going to automate a lot of repetitive tasks. So when you become developers, very soon you will not really have to write a lot of code for everything. You just describe what you want to do. So it's really your algorithmic thinking, your decomposition skills, like how well are you able to break down a big problem statement into smaller modules and then describe them well. Yeah, through prompts. So prompts is the way you will do that, but you need to focus on developing those skills. So for example, at Prep Leaf curriculum or Masai, our focus is with students is completely on that, because syntax, ES6, ES7 will come, ES8 will come, maybe some new language will come, who knows. We are just coding through voice prompts, maybe we are just coding through English, who knows, right? All of that is going to happen. What is not going to change is algorithmic thinking, right? What is the problem statement? So ChatGPT can give you answers. Listen to this carefully. ChatGPT can give you answers, but what are the right questions to ask? That is still human. That is going to remain human, right? So focus on that. Asking good, relevant, pertinent questions at the right time. Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of examples of it, like the portfolio analyzer. Okay, so is everybody with me so far? Because we're going to see a lot of examples now, and I want everybody to be on their toes for that. All right, one yes and few raised hands. Okay. All right, fine. I hear you. Yeah, a lot of yeses now. All right, so let's go into it now. So, how many of you have heard the term prompt engineering? You can, okay. Acha, okay. Okay, so quite a few have not heard prompt engineering. Okay, so how many of you have not used ChatGPT? Just write zero. Just write zero and type. If you have not used ChatGPT. Okay, so a lot of you have not used ChatGPT. Okay, that definitely we will change. So, guys, go to chat.openai.com right now. Go to chat.openai.com. Yeah, go to chat.openai.com. Make a free account. Use ChatGPT, right? It's the new. I mean, Google. Like how we say, right? Google kar lenge. Google kiya kya? It's now it's basically ChatGPT because Google to now after using ChatGPT you'll be like कि Google तो हमसे ही काम करवा रहा है. In the sense you ask Google something, it gives you 50 links. Then you have to go in the 50 links and find your answer, right? ChatGPT summarizes everything and gives you whatever you need, right? So whatever you type here, how can what I'm typing right now, what I'm asking ChatGPT, this is a prompt. How can ChatGPT help college students increase their chances of getting placed? Very, very general, broad question. This is not really a very good prompt, to be honest. But let's see what it throws out, right? You'll be surprised by the quality, especially if you've not used it. Now, ChatGPT can help by resume assistance. So we are going to already do this. Interview preparation, we are going to do this. Networking advice, interesting. Industry insights, nice. Skill development, we're going to do this now. Personal branding, very nice. Job search strategies, very interesting. Mock assessments and tests, this also we're going to do. Okay, awesome, right? So you can ask it literally anything. You can ask it to, I mean, if you're an English student, then you can ask it to generate a play of AI obsessed family where the grandfather doesn't understand any technology and children cannot live without their screens, right? And it should be a funny play with this that it's going to generate you scene by scene description with all the dialogues, right? So just talk to it as if it's a very smart person. Yeah. So yeah, those who have not used it, please use it and get amazed. Those who already know the power of it, now by following a simple guidelines, you'll see how much better the quality of information becomes. Yeah. So here we go. So when you're using prompts, so these are called prompts, right? So when we start, we write these kind of prompts, right? Single line prompts and lot of things we are in our mind, like here, I haven't told which stream of students. Is it economic students, English students? Is it web, development tech students, computer science students? Lot of information is missing. Chances of getting placed, again, very, very vague. What is the salary bracket? What is the experience level? Lot of details are missing. So we learn how to add those things to make our results better. Yeah. So when you're looking at prompts, I remember this simple acronym. Remember rodeo. Rodeo. Okay. So give ChatGPT a role, give it a detailed prompt, give it example, and tell it how to show the output. Yeah. So remember rodeo. Give it a role, give it details. So the prompt that we just wrote was not detailed. You need to add a lot of details, like I was talking about, right? What stream of college and this and that. Give it an example of the kind of output that you are expecting, and then give it a format for that output. Yeah. Role, details, to be clear and precise, example, output. Output means the tone that you want, right? I mean, if you are again, let's say a history major, and you want to see how would a historian, a famous historian, or a scientist, or maybe Elon Musk would respond to this, it can do all of that. It can generate a response in how Elon Musk would respond, right? Length of the response, sometimes you may need a summary, so you can tell it, restrict your answers to 50 words. Level, do you want it at a beginner level, advanced level, a level of a 10-year-old? Just tell it that much, and it's going to give you some amazing responses. The same thing, it's going to simplify. Language, you just tell it, give me a response in Hindi. That's it. There's no Google Translate, transliterate, and this and that. Just tell it, give it to me in Hindi or in English, and it's going to do that for you, right? So all of that, so these four simple things, you can get very high quality outputs. Yeah. Okay. So now it's time to see a lot of examples. Let me show you. Okay. So let's see if you want to get okay. So this is one example where let's say somebody wants to improve their English, right? You're going for interviews and you want to improve your English, right? So this says, let's play a game. I want to improve my English and I need your help. So game is that you are an English trainer, we'll talk and you guide me wherever I'm doing a mistake, right? And it says, okay, absolutely, I'm happy to do that. So then the student describes, I like to play video games, don't know what happened with time, I'm losing interest, and so on. So you can see there are spelling mistakes, a lot of grammatical mistakes, most of my time spent on YouTube. Now look at the response of ChatGPT. Here are a few corrections. This is how you can talk about it. And then it explains why. So spelling mistakes, maybe ka use is wrong. Instead of most of my time spent on YouTube, say I spend most of my time on YouTube, right? Let's continue. Then the student says something, and again it gives very good feedback, right? So this is one set of use cases. Then let's say you want okay, I love this one. Okay, guys, look at this very carefully. This will show you the role and everything. There are a lot of things here. So I'm preparing. So use this for a self interview, right? Because the mock interview, you may not be able to get good high quality mock interviews, right? You need like a teacher or this or that, or you need to pay an external third party company. Just by intelligent prompting, and we will share all this with you, you can get a very high quality self interview. So what you need to do? Rodeo. First is role. Take the role of an interviewer. So we are saying that to ChatGPT that take the role of an interviewer. Yeah. Then you give it a JD, right? Front end developer. And by the way, this JD also I generated via ChatGPT. So in a separate chat, I asked it to generate a JD for a front end web developer, right? And you can customize it further that for a salary bracket such and such for so many years of experience with Node.js technologies or Python, Django, whatever. All that can be done. So now it gave me this JD. So I gave it this JD and said, start the interview when I ask you to. Now it started the interview. The first question, can you start me by telling about your experience with HTML, CSS, JavaScript? Now I'm answering, not really very seriously. I'm answering like a sort of average student, right? And why I want to see how it's going to help. JD means job description, right? That's how companies post the job details. So JD is job description. So I just say vaguely, I've learned a lot about them. I've done a lot of projects. So look at the quality of questions. Okay. Could you tell me about a particularly challenging project? These are all, by the way, real interview questions that keep getting asked, every time. What were the challenges you faced? And again, I gave a very, very short, not a very good response. And it says, okay, can you tell me more about the app? And what? I mean, a real interviewer may not be this patient, which is again something you can tell it that, behave like a stressful interviewer and so on. Here it's being a very nice, helpful interviewer. So I tell it a little bit on, it asks me what are the features you implemented. So I tell it a little bit, and then, it keeps asking. Now I tell, okay, how would you score this candidate, right? And you know what it asks me? It doesn't give me the score. It says, I don't know what your rubrics are. What criteria should I score on? Then I give it these three criteria. Okay, score me on my technical competence, communication skills, and project presentation. And it gives me a score. Technical competence, 7 out of 10. Why? 6 out of 10, because your response lacked detail and you did not provide specific examples, right? And you should have asked follow-up questions and so on and so forth. And project presentation also give me feedback. Now, at Preply, if we follow a particular framework when we answer these theoretical questions, which is called DubX, which is when you are explaining a concept, let's say recursion, promises, closures, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, anything. Follow this framework. Start with a definition, give some use cases, tell about the benefits, and then extra information. Yeah. So now I'm saying, okay, take the role of a guided interviewer now. That's what I'm telling GPT. But now I'm saying, follow my framework, right? Give me a response in this format, right? And I give it one example. Now remember, rodeo means role, details, examples, and output. So now role we've already seen, details we've been seeing. This is an example of how to give an example, right? So an example to explain the concept objects. This is the definition of objects, right? These are the use cases. These are the benefits, and this is the extra information. Yeah, dubx. I just give it one example, just one example, and it asks me now what is the scope, and I, of course, I don't answer very well, and look what it generates. I mean, I was blown away when it did this. In just one example, it was able to learn my framework and, in fact, give a very good answer in that framework. So this is the definition of scope. These are the use cases, benefits, and so on. And we kept on going like this. I said, okay, can you add some code to the use case? It did that. And yeah, I mean, you can just play with it. You can say, okay, can you ask me 10 questions? First 3 can be easy, some can be medium, then go to difficult questions. Just keep, once you get a hang of it, you can just kind of keep playing with this. So this is one example. Let's see another one. You can also get your output. Okay, so let's see now how can you configure the output. So here is, generate a lesson plan on binary search, right? So at the top, I've done all of that, role, details, example, and everything. So I gave it a role of a curriculum developer and gave it steps of how to generate. But now I wasn't very happy with the output format, because it was returning the lesson plan in this format, right? Which is not what I wanted. I wanted it in a table format. Yeah. So I basically told it that can you, at some point I told it that can you create the lesson part as a table with LO, learning objective, instructor task, and student task as its columns. Yeah, that's all. And it did that, right? This is just specific to how we create our lesson plan or curriculum framework. So that's why we want it in this format. So it just did that, right? So if you can mention, you can also tell it, I mean, to give it in JSON format as key value pairs, just tell it what are the keys, and it's going to give you a JSON format, especially if you're building a product using an API, that's going to help. You can, get it in this format, anything. So this is a great example of output, how to customize the output, right? And these kind of use cases, there are many, right? Where, help me set up GitHub repo in Visual Studio. So it'll tell you step by step what is to be done. And you can keep interactively asking it, let's say how to get a GitHub repo. If you're having some problem, pulling the code, merging the codes, sending a pull request, anything. You can just, look at this. I'm just asking it simple questions and quickly getting responses, and the whole project I can build using this. And errors, by the way, there was one error, and so there was recently a hackathon at the company, and we were working late night, and for 2 hours we were struggling with that error. And I put it in GPT, and in 5 minutes it spotted that error. It was a complex error. Only one line had some obscure error, some library had got deprecated, but we were not able to spot it. So yeah, it's very good at. You can give it a piece of code and you can ask it to debug and all of that. It's very good at that. Okay, so now we've seen some of these. You can also use it for idea generation. So if you're thinking, let's say college mein, what project should I do? And you know the domain that, maybe I want to make something on, I don't know, railway tracking system, or I want to make something on healthcare system, health management system. Then you can ask it for more ideas in that domain. Now for the hackathon, we were making a AI-based job preparation application, right, for our students. The portfolio analyzer that I showed was part of that. So 6, 7 of my team, we were brainstorming for pretty much half the day, and we came up with a list of 5, 6 ideas. And at the night, I thought, okay, let me ask ChatGPT. So I gave it this prompt, that we want to build a mobile application which uses the power of generative AI to help students prepare for job interviews and so on and so forth, right? And it gave us 10 ideas. it pretty much had all the, or 12 ideas rather, it pretty much had everything that we had thought of. And so it made me feel a little sheepish, but that's really the power of chat gpt, I would say, right? Resume builders, we ended up building these things: portfolio builder, mock interviewer, and so on. Yeah. All right. uh, by the way, I'm curious, which use case did you find the most interesting or most relevant, or which one are you waiting to try out after this session out of all of these that I've shared? Mock interview, okay. What else? Resume interviewer, okay. Okay, here's something very cool that so so this is I mean, I just connected it to WhatsApp, and now through my WhatsApp I can kind of I mean, our students can ask any concept. So okay, yeah, I was just testing it before the session. So if you ask it any concept, you just say recursion, and it'll give you a very quick summary of what recursion is with a very interesting real life example or analogy, which will quickly make you understand how recursion works. It's an amazing analogy, right? Recursion, like a Russian doll, right? The doll one inside the other, inside the other. So if you want to find out how many dolls there are, count n equal to count n minus one plus one, right? So it's a recursive function. So factorial, it gives an example of factorial as well. Then you just say mquiz, and just the topic name, and it'll generate questions on this. You can say, let's say, mquiz linked list for a beginner, and it should generate simpler questions, right? So you can, I mean, literally put anything here, and this is customized for the phone factor, mobile form factor. So in short, it's able to give you answers. So as you can see, so this all uses ChatGPT at the backend, by the way, right? You can say Hindi. Okay, let's take it linked list, and it should give you a response like what is linked list in Hindi. So it can do all of that with just some simple prompting at the backend, basically. Okay, so now I want to show you resume builder. That is one of the tasks that I'm going to leave you with. Okay, this one is taking a little bit of time, so we'll move ahead. So this is a, okay, guys, this is something that you should start using right away. Okay, so what we want to do is, yeah, this WhatsApp bot is internal. It's not a public link. It's just for our students, but just for demoing, it uses simple prompts in the background. Yeah, so I can share the prompt that we use, and you can use it on your own chat GPT. Okay, so for the resume customizer, the idea was that you have AI based resume generators on the web, but they fix your resume. They'll fix typos, grammar, suggest some keywords and all that. Then you have JD, job description based resume generators, which will generate a great resume for a job description, but you may not have those skills, right? So we combined both of them. That this is my resume, this is the JD, this is the job description. Now match the two. Don't add imaginary skills to my resume, but just tell me what should I highlight in my resume to get selected, to increase my chances to get selected for this role. Yeah, this is something all of you can start doing now. Okay, so we this is a resume for one of our students. We put the text in chat gpt, and the match percentage was 36%. That's it. So with the JD, so we put in a JD also. It says 36%. It explained like why, exactly why was, how many skills were matching, this, that. Then we did something interesting. So basically, when you have very large prompts, right? So you're putting the whole resume. It's like a one-page ka prompt that you're giving chat gpt. Then it's good to divide it, break it into smaller sections. So we gave section wise prompts. Now look at this. There's a prompt just to generate the professional summary. So it says, this is the prompt. Please write a professional summary for my resume based on the following information. We gave it the role, experience, inputs, and so on, right? Then soft skills. We gave it a separate prompt for soft skills, separate prompt for projects, work experience, and everything. And after this, for the same, sorry, Sorry about that. For the same student, same resume, same skills, there are no skills that are enhanced. 80 to 85% match. Amazing, right? I mean, even we were surprised. And the resume was actually really that good, right? So this you should start doing right away. Put your resume in ChatGPT, put the job description, and then ask to customize your resume as per the given job description. Yeah. Yeah. So see, it will tell you some things like this. That here are the keywords and soft skills that you need to highlight or mention in your resume. So like we saw in some cases, it's a front-end developer job, and React and everything is given either missing in some resumes or given at the back, or once or twice. You need to highlight those skills, right? Even here, Portfolio Analyzer, one of the suggestions was that highlight your React projects. See, he has given 5 projects. First one, tech used, there is no React, right? First, second, third, no React. Now here is where it starts using React. Fourth and fifth. This should have been first and second, right? For a front-end developer position. So ChatGPT is able to detect and tell you these things for your portfolio, for your resume, right? You just copy paste the text from your resume, and it's able to do the rest. Yeah. Then you can do a lot of things, resume cleaning, this, that. A lot of other use cases are there. Yeah. So how many of you think the resume builder is going to help you? Yeah. This is work literally couple of days ago. Yeah, this is very, very fresh work, and yeah, I really hope you make the best of these learnings. Okay, now we have a few minutes left, so I'm going to leave you with the 2 tasks that you need to do. Yeah. Okay. So the first one is resume builder. So what you need to do is put in your resume, put in the JD. Now, when you put large prompts, there is one simple trick you need to follow, which is, let's say if I'm putting in my resume, so you can say, here is my resume, right? And then when you're putting a large text, you're going to paste it here, right? Don't, before pasting, add a delimiter. Delimiter means like any separating marks. You can put these 3 backticks and paste your resume here, right? This is a very important trick, by the way. And then close it. Yeah. Here is the company JD. Same thing here, right? Paste company JD. Here, can you suggest what, can you evaluate what the match, how well does my resume match with the given company JD, right? And give a score out of 10 at the end. Yeah. So guys, take a screenshot of this prompt, try this out. You can add more things. It's a very simple one. As I said, right now it takes everything at once. Slowly you can have it section by section, that you can take the summary part, the cover paragraph. If you're writing cover letters or cover email, you can have a separate prompt for that. And here I'm trying to tell you about these delimiters, these backticks, or you can use anything else as delimiter. Quotes also are fine. But if you are pasting large text, then this is called prompt injection. But don't worry about the terminology. But point is that you need to separate this from rest of the prompt. So put it in these terms. Okay, so that's your first task, that you need to first give your resume, give a JD, find out the match percentage. Then you improve. You ask it, okay, how can I improve, right? And give you suggestions. As per those suggestions, improve your resume. Put the improved resume and then find the match percentage. Okay. And then note these 2 and fill it in the quiz that we are going to share with you at the end. So that is task 1. So is the first task clear? Okay. Now on to the second one. If you want to learn something new in the world of tech, you have to keep learning something new, right? So let's say you have to learn the language Go, or you want to learn Angular, Vue.js, anything, right? How can you do that? The ideal way would be to have a personalized tutor, right? Who's teaching you, testing you, and then basis that it keeps giving you new things. Look at these set of prompts that were given. This says, let's do an activity. I want to learn Go. I have no idea about it, right? And you can say that I know JavaScript or basic JavaScript or Python or whatever it is that you know. You will be my expert trainer. This is the role that is given. You are an advanced level developer, right? Now it says, keep teaching me till you think I am proficient in Go. So even the proficiency test is to be done by GPT, right? So it starts, okay. It starts by introducing variables, gives an example, and talks about data types and this, that. And then it gives me a task to do. Now I do this task and I return. Good start, but there are two issues to correct. Corrects those issues. Then it tells me the next thing, and I tell the output, and it goes to the next. Now it tells me if else, right? Okay. How do loops work? How do conditionals work? How does switch case work? And now again, it gives me a task to do. I do that. And so now it tells me about functions. Isn't that amazing? So you can learn anything interactively with it till you are proficient with it, right? By the way, this is all available for free, at least for now. So please make use of it. So this is your second task. Pick up a technology, whether it is Go or AngularJS, Vue.js, anything, and give this prompt. Take a screenshot of this prompt. Yeah, it can be even better. I mean, this is all right, but this could have been better. But even this works like a charm, by the way. And use this to learn a new language. Yeah. So these are the two tasks I'm going to leave you with. And here's the quiz for today. Yeah, so the quiz is going to ask you the full form of rodeo. These are when you do the resume matching task, you can fill these. And then out of all the things that we discussed today, which was the most exciting use case for you? Yeah. So here's the quiz link. You can fill the quiz. All right. I can, Supriya, can I take questions? There are 9 people who have.
Yes, I will take the questions. Also, students, this is just a feedback for the quiz. The quiz where we drive the leaderboard will be shared with you shortly. You can answer this. The next quiz link will come in maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. We will share that across. So time for questions. If you have any questions, please put that in the chat so that we can take it up. And we have Rajat here who will take up these queries for you. Yes. So you can put in the Q&A so we can take up the any questions. Okay. Please do not put it in chat so that we don't miss. So there's a question that, okay, what is neural networks? How can I get it?
A neural network is a particular kind of machine learning algorithm. The math behind it is fairly complex. You really don't need to understand it. You should be familiar with the term though. Yeah. So, and broad workings you can maybe try to understand. I would encourage, because it could be an interview question, if you're able to answer, it will set you apart from the other candidates.
Will ChatGPT take over as a teacher and teaches in the future?
It's going to play an increasing role. I think in education, the human connect is extremely important, which goes beyond just, words and so on. But it's going to become, so I would say humans and GPT or other AI are going to collaborate more and more while teaching. So for example, if I'm teaching, let's say, or I'm taking this session with, 1,000 odd students, then I'm not able to cater to your individual queries, right? But let's say I have a AI assistant, teaching assistant, and you are all able to get personalized answers to that without waiting for me to answer one on one, right? Some of you and all of you are at different levels. Maybe some of you know Python, some know JavaScript, or some are very advanced, some don't know this. So it can answer each of you at your own level, right? Some of you want it in English, some in Hindi, this, that, everything. So I think we're going to work very tightly together in the near future.
So I think this question, what one of the students has asked, is a query for a lot of them. How far ChatGPT is securable?
ChatGPT, I mean, right now there's been no news of really data leaking and all that. So I think you're good to go. Really, you're also students. I mean, I would say don't share your personal information, certainly not bank information and all of that. So definitely don't share that. But yeah, if you're just querying about, resume builders or learning new languages, new frameworks, for those things, it's fine.
Okay, there's one more question. Can you cite any application for neural networks that we can see in day-to-day life?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much everything that you're using in machine learning, everything has a neural network. I mean, 99% chances are it has a neural. So, for example, on your phone, face recognition, it's a neural network. Or on Facebook, that auto tagging, or you have self-driving cars, right? It's able to recognize all these objects, whether it's a pedestrian, dog, or this or that, or a car that is coming. Should I slow down, speed up? All of that, there are different kinds of neural networks which are doing all this image classification and object detection, all of these things. It's all around us, really.
What are the kind of opportunities that are there in the field of AI or ML for someone who is a fresher?
Very good question. Yeah. So in general, I would say look at AI in two ways. One is AI research, which very few people are going to adopt. And so I would say most of you probably are looking at application of AI, right? So how to apply AI in order to become better at whatever that is that you're doing, right? So AI research is one field that is hardcore computer science and so on. So leaving that aside, in terms of AI application, at the very starting level is a prompt engineer, right? That is one kind of profile that has become in itself now. But whatever role you are playing, whether you are a tester, a developer, technical architect later, project manager, anything, in every single role, AI is going to augment your capabilities, seriously augment, right? And cut down the time. So whatever output you are giving, you will be able to give 10x output. You'll be able to learn. So in the hackathon, in 2 days, we expected some of our students to take a project that they had done in React.js and to make the same project in AngularJS. And they had not done AngularJS at all earlier. And it was a challenging project, but some of them were able to do that just in 2 days. So imagine earlier it would have taken like a month or 2 months, right? Now you can do it in 2 days.
So there's a question, which is better, ChatGPT or the Google Bard? And
Right now, ChatGPT. Right now, hands down. I have a lot of friends, in fact, who work at Google, and they're all very optimistic that both of them use large language models. They use the Lambda model, which in fact Google published in 2017. So sooner or later, they're going to kind of converge in their quality. But right now, definitely GPT is ahead. Also because GPT is a small startup, right? OpenAI is a startup. Google is a big company. So OpenAI was able to do a public launch. And even though there were a lot of errors and, Google cannot do that. So Google had to wait. So GPT got a lot of data and it has improved very, very quickly. So right now, definitely ChatGPT is ahead, but knowing Google and it's going to catch up very soon. I mean, for us, all these wars, Amazon, Flipkart, this, that, for consumers, it's for the better because it will become better quickly, cheaper, and all of that. So it's good for us.
So there's one more, there are a couple of questions. Any more AI website or tools which will be helpful for students that you would recommend?
Yes, there are quite a few, but I mean, really, I honestly, ChatGPT is enough. Maybe you can find for resume builder. You can find. There is one called Udly you can use. Yoodli. Udly. which is a interviewer, or rather really an English trainer, but you can do your interviews, and ChatGPT is able to give you the technical correctness, technical, feedback. Udly is able to give you feedback on your speaking skills, or your eye contact, pause words, filler words, sentence structures, those kind of things. So that could be one if you're especially preparing for interviews or improving your English. Udly is one app that you could use.
That was a nice suggestion. And there's someone who's asking, what is a tech stack required to learn AI?
AI is really tech agnostic. I mean, Python has wonderful machine learning libraries, but yeah, see, what does learn AI mean really? Because if you're talking about AI research, it's a separate field. If you're talking about, okay, accessing GPT ka API, I mean, you can do it like any API call, right? You can do it in Python or Node.js, whatever. So it's really language agnostic in that sense.
So there's a question, if I'm not from the tech background and I wish to move into the AI world, then what is the roadmap going to be like?
Great question. Prompt engineering is definitely the starting step. Yeah, that is probably 80% of your journey. Just start using it and follow this. To start with, follow this role details example. The rodeo format output, and you'll get better at it. And then maybe if you want to start building applications, it's very simple. You can ask ChatGPT, how do I create an application to query ChatGPT, right? And you can access its API. Again, very simple. It needs very beginner coding knowledge. So I read somewhere, there are two quotes that I really love about it. One was Sundar Pichai at the recent Google I/O conference, and he said that so far humans have been adopting to AI sort of technical interfaces, right? We have a phone or laptop, we use a keyboard, which is very unnatural for human beings, right? Now, for the first time, it's the technology which is adapting to humans, right? So we are just talking in our language, and if we don't like something, if you want something to simplify it, as if we are talking to a person, right? So I think that is really how it's going to happen in the future.
So just like in the other session, we had day 2 session where we used ChatGPT for resume building. So do you think that also in the courses, like in the CAP courses, we'll be using these advanced technology for students?
Yeah, your instructors are using a lot of ChatGPT at the backend to generate high quality questions, to create variations, to get real industry level questions, even for your practice assignments. So a lot of that is going on in the background. You may not see it right away, but it's a part of your curriculum design, I would say. Where do students get to use it? Yeah, we are going to shortly introduce a module on using ChatGPT by students as well. That is also going to happen shortly. But right now, yeah, it's being used in the background for creating learning material for all of you.
So I think we have answered most of the questions, and we would roll out the quiz for the day, which is the leaderboard quiz in your chat. And then if there are any more questions, you can still put that across. So here's the leaderboard quiz in your chat. Please go ahead and answer that. As you know, if you were paying attention through the session, you will be getting most of the answers right. So as they are answering this, if there are any other queries that I have missed, Rajat, I'll just take that up.
Sure.
Okay. So there's a question that says, sorry, Rajat, you were saying something.
Oh, no, please go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a question that says that, what do you think if it can develop on itself, the ChatGPT, and have a conscience? Should you say it's ever learning or still restricted by codes?
Yeah, that's why a lot of people including Elon Musk and two of the three supposedly sort of godfathers of AI, including Geoffrey Hinton, they are all very, very skeptical. There are actually two interesting use cases. This is before GPT, and so now it's going to be even more dangerous, I would say. But Microsoft and Facebook both had launched these AI bots. And what they did was Microsoft opened it in the public domain, and people started talking to it, and people used a lot of hate speech and biased opinions and so on, which people do. And through Twitter data, it got trained. And within, I think, few days of its launch, it started saying that we should kill humanity, right? So Microsoft had to shut down that project after spending billions on it. And Facebook put one of the AI bots and made it talk to a clone of itself. And again, both the bots started talking to each other. The conversation escalated, and again, after just a few days, they started reaching the same conclusion. And the trouble with AI is with neural networks and so on, it's so complicated. GPT uses more than 1 trillion parameters in its neural network, right? And once you know neural network, it'll baffle you even more. But it uses 1 trillion parameters. So even the developers don't know why the system is behaving the way it is, right? And if so, right now, for example, whatever code you've written, let's say you've made an e-commerce project, and if I ask you, if I click this button, why does this happen? You can tell me, right? Because I coded it that way. And if I tell you, okay, stop that behavior or change that behavior, you can do that. But here, developers have no clue why. So there are certain neural networks which work very well at, let's say, identifying human faces. There are certain which work very well at identifying a cat, and nobody knows why. It's just through trial error, this is what has been found. And but when it works like a charm. So that is one big gray area with AI, that you don't know why it works, and hence you cannot really change or interfere or do those kind of things.
So I think there's a very interesting question, or maybe most of them feel it that way, that everybody is going to start using ChatGPT, say for resume building, or maybe to make a summary or a project, right? How do you really have that edge over the rest? Because probably the prompts or the command that we are going to use might be similar. We might get the same set of instructions. How do we really win over this and set that apart? Because most of them would use it. So
Right.
would want you to throw some light on the same.
So see, so far as resume goes, GPT is going to only help you, show your resume in the best light. You can obviously always add fake information. Like it'll tell you that, if you put Golang, your match percentage will be 90%. You can put that, you'll get caught in interview stage and so on. And now interviews are also going to become AI based. So you won't have to wait till a human round. So all of that is there. Just focus on building skills, really. That's it. Don't focus about these things. These things, yeah, you put you in the right light. There was one student who got placed recently. He shared some very, very interesting tips. So he used GPT, but he did things like he started doing open source projects, because that is something that truly sets you apart from other candidates, right? It's not just writing things on your resume. He actually did open source contributions. Then, like he applied at a company. He also, let's say on LinkedIn, he also followed that up with an email to the HR, and then did a follow-up email after 2 days just to show his keenness. So a lot of things like that. So I think, yeah, build solid skills, do all of these, open source contributions, make good projects. One tip that I recently have started giving students a lot is, if you're a developer, make sure that you are able to present your work. So a lot of our students know so much, but in the interview, they are not able to answer even the simplest questions. So make sure that as a part of your learning, you are also able to explain your knowledge, or why you did something, or your approach to a problem solving statement and so on, right? So those are the things I would suggest to work on.
I think those are any other questions? Students, any other questions that you would want to ask? I think we've answered most of them that were posted in the Q&A. If you have any other questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. We would prefer you put it in Q&A. It's easy to take it up. But let's just wait for maybe a minute or two. Okay. Are there any YouTube channels or any place that they can learn AI from, or anything that you would recommend for them to get started?
Yes. There is one course on prompt engineering by Andrew Ng. He is again one of the leading researchers in this area. I'll share the link with you, Supriya. So that is something, yeah, absolutely all of you should do. It'll really accelerate your journey into this.
So students were asking AI sites and reference materials. When we send you the summary of today's session, we'll add the link along with that. So that was, I think, with the questions. Yes, we have mostly taken up all questions, and there we go with the most awaited person that we see every day at the end of our session. We have Aman Singhal with us. So over to you, Aman, to take us over.
Guys, I won't take much of your time. As you know that we have a routine to follow. We take one picture with the speaker, post it on LinkedIn, where you can come and let us know what did you learn about today's session. Just to be very frank, it was a tough session for me also to crack. But yeah, importance was at its peak. Guys, with this, I'll take one picture with you. If you allow me, I'll post it on LinkedIn. Oh, I need to set the camera angles also. So guys, I'm going to share this thing. Before that, if you have any questions, you can ask. Plus, very, very important thing. As you all of you know, tomorrow is going to be the last day of TechEdge.